Now, for my other question, I wanted to ask you on the more political side of things. What is your opinion of the concept that democracy is bad because democracy is mob rule?
That depends. We live in a representative democracy,
An oligarchy?
and or an oligarchy. I think it's less of an oligarchy. I mean, it's trending towards an oligarchy a lot of the time, but I think that the build of it is still a representative democracy or a republic, as it were. Um, democracy, by definition, in the classical definition, is mob rule. It's everybody has a say. It's everybody votes. Everything is a compulsory decision, and it doesn't work. There's no organizing principle for a large group of people for that to work. It's great in smaller groups, much like communism. As soon as you get bigger than the controllable metrics of the populace, you lose your principle. Um, and at that point, human nature kicks in, and I don't think that humans can exist in a large-scale democracy or communist republic or communism, and it has to be built-in representation in republics.
So then, does that mean you agree with the idea that true democracy is mob rule?
I think that democracy, by the classical definition, if we're talking about the philosophical definition of it, is yes.
Because the same argument is also used against why people don't think that that it should be one person one vote. Instead, that's why we have the electoral college.
One person, one vote is still not true democracy. Um, we are governed by representation. We're not. We're still governed by a republic. The electoral college doesn't make us a republic. It makes us a. It makes it so that there is disproportionate power to a degree, and that disproportionate power makes it so that you have people's votes in different areas mean more than the votes of people in other areas, and the imbalance of power makes it so that the country is not exactly represented to its fullest.
And that's not even getting into the lines being drawn and districts getting redrawn and
Gerrymandering is a
everything.
different thing, but the biggest thing with that is that the concession in the Constitution to state rights and state power is that every state gets two senators regardless of population. Regardless of how many people you represent, every state has two senators. So the Senate has that composition. The House is based on population, but again, it still isn't a. It's not 1 to 1. It's not broken down like that. So in that case, a person's vote in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming is technically worth more than the single vote of a person in California. So that's where there's a failing in our democracy, and since we don't have any kind of issue with communication or getting information back and forth, it makes it that we are pseudo behind the curve. And to the people that argue that metropolitan areas will guide us, it's like no, the will of the majority of the people who live in the country that we are in guides us. And if the majority of those people have a more centrist belief than you, whether you're on the left or on the right, dealing with that centrist belief is something that is part and parcel with being part of our republic.
So does that mean you personally believe in one person one vote?
I do. I believe in one person or a vote, but I also believe in destroying. I don't believe that the two-party system should exist. So there's a whole lot that goes into that. But
That could be a discussion for another day.
But yeah, I believe that one person, one vote is the more realistic and better cross section of what the population wants, not what the regionalization of the United States wants.
Thank you, husbando, for your words.
Mm-hmm.